If you belong to the 98% of mankind, the devil already owns you. He whispers through your doubts. He feeds on your wasted hours. He hides in your excuses. And worst of all, you don't even know it. That is his greatest trick, to keep men believing they are free while their every thought, every hesitation, every delay is his command. Look at your own life. How many times have you known what to do, but you didn't do it? How many times did you dream, then drift, decide, then delay, speak, then silence yourself? That is not you, that is him. And here is the truth you don't want to hear. If you cannot recognize the signs, you are already his servant. 7 signs reveal whether the devil holds your mind in chains. 7 ways to know if you are drifting toward ruin while thinking you are safe. If you see them and ignore them, you will remain enslaved until your last breath. But if you face them, if you dare to hear them, you can still break free. I will not tell you all at once, because if I did, you would laugh, dismiss them as too simple, and fall back into sleep. But if you remain with me, if you have the courage to listen, I will show you the marks of your captivity and the key to your freedom. So I ask you, are you brave enough to find out if he already owns you? Men imagine themselves free because no visible chain binds their wrists. They walk the streets, they speak their opinions, they labor for wages, and they call it liberty. Yet the devil owns 98 out of every 100 minds. His chains are woven not of iron, but of thought. Every hesitation, every excuse, every delay is proof of his grip. Look closely at your own life. How many times have you known what to do, yet failed to do it? That moment of hesitation was not weakness alone. It was captivity. How many times have you spoken of a dream, but delayed action until the dream withered? That delay was not yours. It was his. The devil whispers, and the drifting soul obeys. The devil thrives in drifting. He thrives when men rise without purpose, work without aim, and return weary but unchanged. The factory bell rings. Men march as soldiers. They toil until body breaks, and they return to sleep only to repeat. This is not freedom. This is servitude disguised as security. The devil feeds on the wasted hours of the blind. Carnegie's mills roared with the sound of steel, yet the men who fed the furnaces remained nameless. Their lives consumed, their wages small, their names forgotten, but their sweat built palaces. Rockefeller's pipelines stretched across the land, yet the men who laid them remained poor, their sons no richer than their fathers. This is the silent captivity, wealth built upon drifting lives. The devil is clever. He does not need to bind you with chains if he can control your thoughts. He whispers, be careful, do not risk, be grateful for small wages, play safe and men obey. They believe themselves prudent while in truth they are enslaved. The devil's laughter echoes in every excuse, in every surrender to fear. The first mark of captivity is indecision. A man who cannot decide his aim does not own his mind. He waits for permission. He asks advice from drifters. He postpones until opportunity vanishes. Indecision is the open gate through which the devil enters. Once inside, he commands delay, breeds fear, and cements the habit of drifting until a man is wholly owned. Fear is another chain. Fear of poverty drives men to accept small wages rather than risk independence. Fear of criticism silences bold ideas, leaving men obedient to the crowd. Fear of ill health, of old age, of death. These specters hover constantly, robbing courage. Where fear rules, faith cannot dwell. Where faith is absent, the devil reigns. Excuses are his favorite disguise. If only I had more money, more time, more education. These words sound reasonable, yet they are lies. Excuses are the devil's food. Every time you utter one, he grows stronger. He convinces you that circumstances, not choice, control your life. And so men drift endlessly, slaves who imagine they are victims, never seeing the chains of their own making. I have seen this captivity everywhere. Men born with strength and intelligence surrender their lives to routine. They sell their time for bread and call it duty. They wait for opportunity but never prepare. They pray for riches but doubt their own power. All the while, the devil holds their minds, feeding them fear, delay, and excuses until death claims them. The devil's victory is that most men never suspect they are enslaved. They boast of freedom while obeying fear. They praise security while trembling at poverty. They mock ambition while envying the successful. He hides in their speech, their silence, their hesitation. They believe their thoughts are their own, when in truth they are whispered commands from their master. But you may break free if you dare to see the signs. Watch your own thought, your own tongue, your own daily habits. Do you delay? Do you excuse? Do you drift without aim? Each yes is proof that the devil owns you. Each yes is another link in the chain. Recognize the signs, and you have already begun the escape. Carnegie told me often that the greatest tragedy was not poverty itself, but the acceptance of poverty. Men who could rise chose instead to drift, content with scraps while their labor built empires. Rockefeller confessed that the greatest fortune is not oil or gold, but mastery of one's own thought. Without it, even riches cannot free a man. Therefore, the first sign is indecision. The mind that cannot decide belongs not to itself, but to the devil. The man who wavers has no direction. The man who delays has no will. He is a pawn moved by circumstance, a servant awaiting orders. Until he decides, he is already owned. Only the act of definite choice can break that hold. Affirm with me, I will not drift. I will decide my aim. My mind is mine, and no devil commands me. Speak it with conviction. Repeat it until belief replaces doubt, for faith grows by repetition, and repetition engraves truth upon the subconscious. Every day you declare ownership of your mind, the devil's grip weakens and your freedom grows. Look around you. Most men will never say such words. They will laugh, dismiss, drift, and return to labor, but you must not. If you dare to speak, to decide, to believe, you separate yourself from the 98% who are enslaved. You step into the 2% who claim their minds, command their destiny, and live as masters, not servants. This is the beginning. You must see captivity for what it is, silent, hidden, deadly. You must see the devil's marks in hesitation, in excuses, in drifting, in fear. You must admit that unless you cast them out, you too are owned. Then you must decide. Decide your aim. Decide your freedom. Decide to break the chains. Decision is the first victory. Indecision is the chief weapon of the devil. It is the crack through which he enters the mind, the seed from which every chain of slavery grows. A man who cannot decide what he wants, who cannot declare his purpose, who cannot act upon his vision, is already defeated. His body may labor, his lips may speak, but his mind is not his own. The devil delights in indecision. He whispers, "Wait until tomorrow." Consider again, seek advice. Conditions are not yet right, and the man obeys. He postpones, he delays, he drifts. One day becomes a week becomes a year, and a lifetime is spent in hesitation. The devil does not need chains when a man refuses to decide. Schools often train men to drift in this way. The boy who questions boldly is silenced. The boy who obeys without thought is praised. He is told, play safe, do not risk, follow instructions. By the time he leaves the classroom, his habit of obedience is fixed. He has learned to wait for permission, to suppress decision, to accept another's aim as his own. Parents, too, often plant the seed of indecision. With good intent, they say, do not attempt too much. Be careful. Find steady work. They believe they protect the child from failure, yet in truth they chain him to mediocrity. Fear of risk is instilled. Faith is neglected, and the child grows into the man who cannot decide without trembling. Indecision breeds procrastination. Procrastination breeds fear. Fear cements chains. The man who hesitates begins to imagine difficulties greater than they are. He convinces himself that action is dangerous, that delay is prudent. In truth, delay is defeat. Every opportunity requires swift decision. Life yields not to the hesitant, but to the bold. The devil confessed to me in our dialogue, "My greatest weapon is indecision." He explained that once a man fails to fix his purpose, hypnotic rhythm seizes him. Habits of delay form quickly. Each postponed choice strengthens the grip until the man is bound. His life becomes one long waiting, waiting for courage, waiting for certainty, waiting for conditions that never arrive. Look to the mills of Carnegie. Thousands of men labored with skill, strength, and intelligence. Yet they hesitated to think beyond their wages. They drifted from day to day, content to obey orders. Their indecision condemned them to obscurity. They had the same hands, the same strength, the same chance as Charles Schwab. But Schwab decided, and they did not. Schwab entered the mills as they did, but his aim was definite. He decided he would rise. He decided to seize opportunity. He spoke boldly where others were silent. He acted while others hesitated. Carnegie saw in him not genius alone, but decisiveness. That one trait lifted him above thousands. He claimed command because he dared to decide. Contrast him with the drifter. The drifter says, "I will wait until I am ready. I will act when I know more. I will decide when conditions are right." But conditions are never perfect. Knowledge is never complete. Readiness never arrives. While he waits, opportunities pass. Doors close. Years vanish. His life is wasted not by lack of ability, but by lack of decision. Lincoln decided to preserve the Union. He faced ridicule, opposition, despair. Advisors counseled compromise. Critics demanded retreat. But Lincoln decided firmly, and he held to that decision through blood and turmoil. Had he hesitated, the nation would have been lost. Decision preserved a people. Indecision would have destroyed them. Henry Ford decided that every man should own a motor car. Experts declared it impossible. Newspapers mocked. Financiers doubted. But Ford's decision was firm. He did not alter it with every criticism. He did not wait for permission. He decided, and he acted, and the world changed. The difference between ridicule and empire was decision. The devil whispers to the undecided man, "What will people say? What if you fail? Would it not be wiser to wait?" And the man listens. He postpones action until the moment has passed. He consoles himself with the lie that he is cautious, when in truth he is enslaved. The devil smiles, for indecision has done his work. The man of decision is feared by the devil. Once a man decides firmly, the devil loses power. Decision closes the door against hesitation. Decision summons courage. Decision ignites persistence. It is as if all the forces of life rush to aid the man who has chosen his path. Even defeat cannot conquer him, for decision keeps him moving. Affirm, "I decide boldly. I decide swiftly. I decide daily. My decision frees me." Repeat until hesitation flees. Each morning declare your aim. Each evening review your choices. Never allow a day to end undecided. For every day lived without decision strengthens the devil. Every day lived with decision weakens him and strengthens you. Decision is not recklessness, it is firmness after thought. Once made, it stands. The undecided man alters his course with every opinion, every criticism, every fear. He is slave to the crowd. The decided man holds to his aim despite laughter, despite ridicule, despite delay. He commands respect even from his enemies, for he is master of his will. Write your definite chief aim tonight. Do not wait another day. Put it to paper. Read it aloud morning and night. Repeat until your subconscious accepts it. Then act. Do not allow doubt to whisper. Do not seek endless counsel. Decide and begin. The first step may be small, but it breaks the devil's chain of hesitation. Look at your own life. Where have you hesitated? Where have you delayed decisions until opportunities passed? Each instance is proof of the devil's influence. Admit it, name it, declare war upon it. Replace hesitation with decision. Replace excuses with action. Replace delay with boldness. This is how you reclaim your mind. The devil owns 98% of minds because 98% of men hesitate. They know what to do, but they delay. They dream, but they postpone. They plan, but they never act. Their indecision feeds him. Their hesitation chains them. Break free by deciding. Decide your aim. Decide your action. Decide daily to command your destiny. Excuses are the devil's favorite food. They are the subtle words with which men defend their own failure. If only I had more money. If only I had better schooling. If only I had time. These are not reasons. They are alibis. Each one strengthens the devil's grip. Each one excuses slavery while pretending to explain it. I have collected 57 common alibis, and each one has been spoken to me by men who drift. They say, I would succeed if only I were younger. I would succeed if only I were older. If only I had influence. If only luck favored me. If only I were not bound by family. The words change, but the spirit is the same. Surrender. Excuses are the devil's trick because they sound reasonable. They give the illusion of thought while hiding fear. A man says, I cannot act until I have more education. In truth, he fears ridicule. He says, I cannot risk until I have more money. In truth, he fears poverty. He says, I cannot decide until conditions improve. In truth, he fears responsibility. The wealthy know that excuses are poison. Ford did not excuse his lack of schooling. Carnegie did not excuse his poverty. Edison did not excuse his failures. Rockefeller did not excuse the ridicule he endured. Each man could have spoken 1,000 alibis, but they refused. Instead, they acted, persisted, and conquered. Their silence in excuses was their roar in achievement. The drifter is skilled at crafting excuses. He repeats them so often that he believes them. His tongue speaks them daily, and his subconscious obeys. Soon he does not even try, convinced that destiny is against him. The devil laughs, for the man has enslaved himself. His excuses are the chain, his tongue is the forge. The man of decision speaks differently. He says, though I am poor, I will act. Though I am uneducated, I will learn. Though I am mocked, I will persist. His words direct his subconscious to action. Life bends to his command. Where excuses kill ambition, affirmations give it life. The tongue builds the future, whether in chains or in freedom. Barnes, who became partner of Edison, could have excused himself. He could have said, I have no money, I have no training, I have no influence. Had he done so, he would have remained a laborer. Instead, he said, I will become Edison's partner. His refusal to excuse himself was his freedom. His bold affirmation created opportunity. Excuses feed hypnotic rhythm. The more you speak them, the more natural they become. I cannot becomes habit. I would if only becomes rhythm. Soon you surrender without thought. You never attempt, never risk, never create. Your whole life becomes one long excuse, whispered to yourself until death. The devil does not need to chain you. You chain yourself. Affirm, I will not excuse myself. I will face truth. I will act. Speak these words daily until they replace the old alibis. Each time an excuse rises, write it down. Look at it with honest eyes. Ask, is this truth or fear? Then replace it with action. For every excuse has a corresponding act that destroys it. The man who says, I cannot because I have no money, can act by beginning with what he has. The man who says, I cannot because I lack education, can act by reading one book, by studying 1 hour. The man who says, I cannot because I have no influence, can act by rendering service until allies appear. Every excuse conceals an opportunity. Consider Lincoln. He was born in a cabin, without wealth, without schooling. By excuses he should have remained obscure, but he refused to speak them. He read by firelight. He studied law on borrowed books. He spoke with conviction, though mocked for his roughness. His refusal to excuse himself carried him to the presidency and preserved a nation. Think of Edison. Thousands of failures could have excused him. He could have said, "I am too old. I am too weary. The critics are right." Instead, he declared each failure a step forward. His lack of formal training could have excused him. Instead, he trained himself in laboratories of his own making. His silence and excuses gave light to the world. Ford was mocked by experts. They said he was ignorant of theory, unfit for enterprise. He could have excused himself with their criticism. Instead, he ignored them. He decided his aim and pursued it. His refusal to excuse ignorance turned him into the greatest industrialist of his time. Excuses would have left him forgotten. Action made him immortal. Excuses disguised laziness. A man says, "I cannot act because I am too busy." In truth, he is too idle to command his thoughts. He says, "I cannot because others stand against me." In truth, he fears effort. The devil loves such words, for they give the illusion of reason while feeding defeat. He owns every man who excuses himself. Affirm again, "I will not excuse my poverty. I will not excuse my ignorance. I will not excuse my fear. I will act these words, spoken with conviction, dissolve the devil's whispers. They awaken desire, summon faith, direct imagination, and command persistence. Action follows, and excuses vanish. The man who refuses excuses cannot be owned. Write your excuses tonight. Every alibi you have spoken, list them. Then burn the paper. Say aloud, 'These lies no longer bind me.' Replace each with a statement of action. If you wrote, 'I cannot because I am poor,' declare, 'I will act with what I have.' If you wrote, 'I cannot because I am old,' declare, 'I will act today.'" The devil thrives in the silence of men who excuse themselves. He hides behind their sighs, their delays, their false humility. He laughs when men blame fate, chance, or luck. He smiles when they curse their poverty but excuse their inaction. Every excuse is another hour of slavery, another day of drifting, another life wasted. But the man who tears away excuses becomes dangerous. He acts while others delay. He seizes opportunity while others hesitate. He grows strong while others complain. His silence in excuses becomes thunder in achievement. The devil trembles before such a man, for he cannot be owned. His mind is his own, his destiny his own. Therefore I command you, cease speaking excuses. Refuse the devil his favorite food. Face truth with courage. Replace alibis with action, fear with faith, hesitation with decision. Speak affirmations of power until excuses flee your tongue. Act daily until excuses die from disuse. In their absence, freedom will live. Drifting is the devil's most subtle form of slavery. It is not violent, it is not sudden, it is slow poison. A man does not wake one morning in chains. He wakes to habit, to routine, to a life that repeats itself without purpose. The devil delights in this, for a drifting mind is a surrendered mind. 98% of men live this way. To drift is to move without aim. It is to rise because the bell rings, to labor because the master commands, to eat because the clock strikes, to sleep because fatigue demands, all without definite plan. The drifter is busy, but he accomplishes nothing. His life is motion without direction, labor without meaning, existence without destiny. Hypnotic rhythm seizes the drifter. Each repeated act, each postponed decision, each excuse becomes a groove. Day after day he follows it until he cannot escape. His routine becomes prison walls. He no longer chooses his path. Habit chooses for him. The devil smiles, for he owns a man who no longer thinks, who merely obeys rhythm. Imagine the factory worker who rises before dawn, marches to the mill, feeds the furnace, collects his wage, and returns home only to repeat tomorrow. He believes himself alive, but in truth, he is a machine. His imagination sleeps, his purpose is absent, his life is drifting. He is fuel for another's fire, not master of his own flame. Contrast this with Edwin C. Barnes. He refused to drift. Though poor, though unknown, he decided to become Edison's partner. He did not say, someday, somehow. He said, I will. He acted with definiteness. He boarded a freight train, knocked upon Edison's door, and declared his aim. The devil could not own him, for his mind was definite. Barnes labored years in obscurity, yet he was never a drifter. Each day his purpose guided him. When Edison sought a man to sell his dictating machine, Barnes seized the chance. He turned desire into fortune, vision into reality. Had he drifted like the thousands who worked without aim in Edison's factories, his life would have ended in obscurity. Drifting silences imagination. A drifting man ceases to dream. He fears ridicule, so he conforms. He fears poverty, so he accepts wages. He fears failure, so he never attempts. His imagination, once vibrant, withers. He no longer sees possibilities, he sees only routine. The devil owns his mind because it no longer creates, it only obeys. Drifting kills ambition. The boy who once dreamed of conquest grows into the man who accepts mediocrity. He says, I am too old now. I am too weak. I have too many obligations. In truth, he has drifted so long that habit binds him. He has surrendered his will. His ambition lies buried beneath years of routine. Affirm, I am awake. I am definite. I am master, not drifter. Speak it aloud until it penetrates the subconscious. Every morning declare your plan for the day. Every evening measure your progress. Refuse to drift a single hour. Live deliberately, not passively. This is the first step to freedom, to replace drifting with definiteness. The devil whispers to the drifter, be content, do not risk, follow the crowd, and the drifter obeys. He goes where others go, believes what others believe, does what others do. He never asks why. He never questions, he never decides. He is swept along as a leaf upon the current. He thinks he is living. In truth, he is carried to ruin. Look again at the mills of Carnegie. Thousands of men labored without definite aim. They drifted, obeyed, and surrendered their imagination. Their wages kept them alive, but their lives enriched another. Contrast them with Schwab. He refused to drift. He dared to decide, to imagine, to act. His definiteness lifted him above the multitude of drifters. Drifting is comfortable. It demands no courage, no risk, no thought. That is why so many embrace it. To drift is to surrender responsibility, to allow others to choose. The drifter blames fate, luck, government, family, any force but himself. Yet the truth is plain. He chose not to choose. His comfort is slavery. His ease is ruin. The devil owns 98% of minds through drifting. He does not need to whip or chain men. He needs only to keep them busy without purpose. He fills their hours with routine, their minds with fear, their tongues with excuses. They drift to the grave, never realizing they were slaves. This is his greatest victory. How can you escape drifting? By definiteness of purpose. Choose your chief aim. Write it. Declare it. Read it morning and night. Picture it in imagination. Speak it aloud with faith. Direct your days toward it. Let no day pass without action toward it. A definite purpose is the anchor that prevents drifting, the rudder that steers against the current. Exercise. Plan each day in writing. Refuse to drift even 1 hour. Ask continually, does this act move me toward my aim, or am I drifting? Each time you drift, return to definiteness. In time, this habit will replace drifting with action. Your life will cease to repeat endlessly. It will move with direction toward destiny. Affirm again, I am awake. I am definite. I am master, not drifter. Speak it until it becomes nature. For affirmations repeated with emotion engrave themselves upon the subconscious. When belief replaces doubt, drifting ends. The devil flees from the man who commands his thought with definiteness, for he cannot own a mind that knows its aim. Remember this truth. The devil owns the drifter, because the drifter owns nothing, not his time, not his thought, not his aim. He rises at another's command. He labors for another's purpose. He drifts toward another's gain. But the man of definiteness owns himself. He commands his hours, his thought, his destiny. He is free, and freedom is mastery. Therefore I charge you, awaken, refuse drifting, refuse the devil's silent chains, choose your aim, declare it, act upon it, guard against routine without purpose, live deliberately each day. For the devil owns 98% of men through drifting, but he cannot own the 2% who live with definiteness. Be among them, be master, not slave. Fear is the devil's whip. It is the unseen lash that keeps men obedient, silent, and small. Chains of iron may be broken by strength, but chains of fear bind the spirit itself. The devil owns 98% of men, not through force, but through fear. They believe their chains imaginary, yet they tremble as if beaten by whips. There are 6 basic fears through which the devil commands: the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. Each one strikes at the mind until courage surrenders. Each one paralyzes thought, silences decision, and strengthens drifting. The fear of poverty is the strongest. It drives men to accept small wages rather than risk independence. It makes them cling to security while despising their own bondage. The devil whispers, if you leave your job, you will starve. If you act boldly, you will fail. Be content with little men obey, and their lives become servitude disguised as safety. The fear of criticism robs men of originality. They fear laughter more than chains. They suppress ideas because neighbors might mock them. Family might scorn them. Society might reject them. They conform, obey, and remain mediocre. The devil delights, for he owns men who live not by their own thought, but by the opinions of others. The fear of ill health weakens men before illness arrives. They imagine weakness, expect pain, and surrender strength. Their constant dread robs them of energy and invites disease. The devil feeds on such thought. He convinces men they are fragile, helpless, doomed to decay. They waste years fearing sickness instead of living in faith and strength. The fear of loss of love enslaves hearts. Men compromise purpose to keep affection. Women surrender dreams to keep approval. The devil whispers, if you pursue your aim, you will lose their love. And so men abandon ambition, suppress desire, and live in chains of compromise. Love built upon fear is slavery. True love is strengthened by freedom. The fear of old age persuades men to settle long before their strength declines. They say, I am too old to begin anew. In truth, they are not old. They are defeated by belief. Many achieve greatest success after 50. Yet countless drift in despair because fear of years has robbed them of faith. The devil laughs at such surrender. The fear of death is his final weapon. Men dread the inevitable, so they dare nothing. They say, why build? Why strive? Death will claim me. They live half-lives, timid and bound, wasting years in dread of the end. Yet death comes to all. Better to die pursuing purpose than to perish in drifting fear. Look at Lincoln. He was mocked, criticized, opposed, yet he mastered fear of criticism. He dared to speak unpopular truths. His courage preserved a nation. Consider Edison, who endured thousands of failures. He mastered fear of ridicule and defeat. His persistence lit the world. Henry Ford was scorned as ignorant, yet he mastered fear of poverty and ridicule to build an empire. Faith and fear cannot dwell together. One expels the other. Fear whispers of defeat. Faith declares victory. Fear paralyzes action. Faith commands it. Fear enslaves. Faith liberates. To master fear, you must cultivate faith deliberately. Speak affirmations of power. Picture success vividly. Act boldly in spite of trembling. Each step weakens fear and strengthens faith. Exercise. Write your fears on paper. Name them honestly. Say aloud, "This is the devil's weapon." Then burn the paper as declaration that you will no longer obey. Replace each fear with a statement of faith. If you feared poverty, declare, "I command riches." If you feared criticism, declare, "I stand by truth." Repeat until belief replaces dread. Affirm, "I fear nothing. I believe. I dare. I rise." Speak with emotion, not as empty phrase. Let your voice carry conviction. Repeat morning and night. The subconscious will absorb it. Faith will grow. Fear will flee. The devil cannot dwell in a mind filled with affirmations of faith. He thrives only in silence, doubt, and hesitation. Infinite intelligence aids the fearless. Bold men attract allies, ideas, and resources. Their courage inspires others. Their faith commands opportunities unseen by the timid. Fear isolates. Faith unites. Fear paralyzes imagination. Faith awakens it. Fear whispers, "Impossible." Faith declares, "It is done." Choose daily which voice you obey. Your destiny depends upon that choice. The wealthy are fearless, not because they are immune to risk, but because they master fear with faith. Carnegie dared when others trembled. Rockefeller acted when others doubted. Schwab spoke boldly when others remained silent. Each man felt fear, but each refused to obey it. Their faith ruled their thought, and their thought commanded fortune. The drifter is always afraid. He fears poverty, so he accepts wages. He fears criticism, so he hides. He fears sickness, so he imagines it. He fears old age, so he surrenders early. He fears death, so he lives timidly. His whole life is fear. He is the devil's perfect servant, useful only as fuel for another's fire. Affirm again, "I fear nothing. I believe. I dare. I rise." Speak it until your heart answers. Act upon it until your life proves it. Do one bold thing each day. Confront one fear openly. Each victory, however small, weakens the devil's hold. In time, fear will vanish as faith becomes natural. The whip will break, and you will stand free. Therefore, I charge you, recognize fear as the devil's weapon. Name it, face it, cast it out. Replace it with faith. Speak affirmations daily. Picture victory vividly. Act boldly in spite of trembling. For faith is mastery, and mastery is freedom. The devil owns 98% of men through fear. Be among the 2% who rise. The devil delights when men begin but never finish. He smiles when desire flickers but dies, when faith burns for a moment but fades, when decisions are made but abandoned at the first resistance. Lack of persistence is his surest victory, for he knows that fortune, liberty, and mastery yield only to those who continue when others quit. Most men surrender at the first obstacle. They call it bad luck. They say, "It was not meant to be." They return to routine and drift once more. The devil whispers, "See, you tried and failed. Better not to try again." And so he captures them, not by violence, but by suggestion. They quit, and he owns them forever. Temporary defeat is not failure. It is a test. It asks, "Do you mean it?" The man who persists answers yes and presses on. The man who surrenders answers no and drifts back to slavery. The devil arranges obstacles not to destroy, but to sift. Only the persistent reach victory. The weak return to chains, convinced that failure was fate. R.U. Darby and his uncle offer the classic tale. They drilled for gold with zeal, struck ore, and dreamed of riches. But the vein vanished. They quit, sold their machinery cheaply, and departed defeated. The buyer drilled 3 feet deeper and struck millions. Darby learned the lesson. He never again quit when men said no. He persisted, and in insurance sales he amassed a fortune. The junk dealer who purchased Darby's machinery became rich because he persisted. The Darbys quit 3 feet from gold. How many men live and die 3 feet from their treasure, quitting before victory, surrendering just before success? The devil ensures most never know, for they gave up too soon to see how close they were. Edison is another proof. Thousands of failures marked his pursuit of the light. Assistants despaired, investors doubted, critics mocked. But Edison persisted. Each failure, he declared, was progress. Each defeat was a step forward. The world remembers his triumph, not his failures. The difference was persistence. Without it, he would have been forgotten. Henry Ford faced ridicule, lawsuits, fires, betrayals. He was called ignorant, unfit, even insane. Factories collapsed, competitors conspired, governments opposed. Yet Ford persisted. He rebuilt, fought, pressed forward. His persistence birthed an industry. Without it, his vision would have died with the first lawsuit. With it, he became master of industry. Persistence is a habit. It is not granted by nature, but cultivated by practice. Each time you continue when weary, you strengthen persistence. Each time you press forward when others retreat, you forge your will. Each time you endure ridicule and remain steady, you build character. Persistence is formed by small acts, hardened by repeated action until it becomes nature. Affirm, I will persist until I succeed. I endure delay. I conquer defeat. I cannot be owned, for I do not quit speak these words daily. Each time you feel weary, repeat them. Each time you hear no, declare them. Each time you meet defeat, affirm them. The subconscious will absorb them, and persistence will become instinct. The devil feeds men lies to weaken persistence. He whispers, you have failed too many times. It is hopeless. You are too old. You are too young. You lack talent. These lies enslave 98% of men. They believe him, they quit, they surrender. But the man who persists answers, I will continue. And the devil flees, for persistence is his enemy. Persistence requires definite purpose. No man persists long in vague wishes. The drifter says, I want to be rich, but he drifts because he has no definite aim. The master says, I will earn this sum by this date in this way. His definiteness fuels persistence. Desire without clarity dies. Desire with definiteness endures. Persistence is lonely. The crowd will mock. Neighbors will scorn. Family may doubt. Yet the man who persists draws strength from within. He does not depend on applause. He depends on faith. He knows that ridicule precedes respect, that defeat precedes triumph, that persistence turns laughter into admiration. He walks alone until victory, then the crowd follows. Persistence transforms defeat into wisdom. Each failure contains seed of equal or greater benefit. The quitter never sees it, for he abandons the field. The persistent man uncovers it, learns from it, uses it. The devil cannot defeat such a man, for every blow strengthens him. What was meant to destroy becomes fuel for triumph. Rockefeller endured lawsuits, attacks, vilification. He persisted. Carnegie endured poverty, scorn, betrayal. He persisted. Lincoln endured defeat after defeat in elections. He persisted. Franklin endured laughter for his experiments. He persisted. Each one triumphed not by genius alone, but by persistence. Their enemies quit. They continued. Their persistence made them masters. Affirm again, I will persist until I succeed. I endure delay. I conquer defeat. I am relentless. Victory bows to persistence. Repeat until your heart believes. Act upon it until your life proves it. Each time you press forward when weary, you claim freedom. Each time you endure defeat and rise, you break chains. Persistence is the path to mastery. Exercise. Begin a 30-day persistence test. Choose your chief aim. Each day, act upon it, however small the step. Record your action. Refuse to miss a single day. At month's end, persistence will be stronger, habit will be formed, rhythm will be on your side. The devil will flee, for he cannot capture a man of persistence. The drifter always quits. He quits his aim, he quits his faith, he quits his persistence. He drifts from job to job, from dream to dream, from hope to hope. He says, "It was not meant to be." In truth, he surrendered too soon. The devil owns him, for he obeys every whisper of doubt. He is fuel, never fire. Therefore I charge you, persist, refuse to quit. Continue when weary, act when defeated, believe when mocked, hold fast when tempted to surrender. Persistence is the hammer that breaks stones, the fire that tempers steel, the rhythm that wears down mountains. With persistence, you cannot be owned. Without it, you are already enslaved. The devil seldom attacks alone. His greatest strength lies in company. The negative companions, the doubters, the complainers, the drifters who surround you. He works through them as easily as through your own thought. If he can seat you among men who scoff at faith, laugh at ambition, and excuse mediocrity, he already owns you. Their words are his tongue. A man's environment shapes his destiny more than he admits. Sit daily among drifters and you will drift. Speak daily with complainers and you will complain. Share daily with cowards and you will fear. The devil knows this, so he surrounds men with negative company. Soon they adopt the beliefs of their companions until their own thought is no longer theirs. Carnegie built empires because he surrounded himself with brilliant men of faith and purpose. He confessed openly that his fortune was the fruit of men greater than himself. But the drifter surrounds himself with equals in weakness. He envies the bold, avoids the faithful, resents the definite. He prefers company that confirms his excuses, and so he perishes in mediocrity. The mastermind principle reveals the law. Harmony multiplies power. Discord destroys it. When two or more minds unite in faith and definite aim, a third invisible force arises, a greater intelligence than any one of them. But when a man surrounds himself with doubters, cynics, and complainers, his power is scattered, his imagination silenced, his faith extinguished. The devil owns men through negative company because most lack courage to separate. They fear loneliness, so they cling to destructive friendships. They fear ridicule, so they remain among mockers. They fear criticism, so they conform to the crowd. Better to be alone in faith than among thousands in doubt. One ally of courage is worth more than 1,000 drifters. Think of Rockefeller. He was not alone in building his empire. He attracted partners, financiers, and organizers who shared his definiteness. Together they formed a mastermind of immense force. When attacked by government, press, and rivals, he endured because his company was strong. Had he been surrounded by doubters, his empire would have crumbled. Negative company poisons faith. Speak daily with one who scoffs, and your own belief weakens. Listen to constant complaints, and your courage dwindles. Accept the advice of cowards, and your boldness dies. The devil uses your companions to whisper what you would resist alone. You think it is their voice. In truth, it is his. Affirm, I attract allies of faith and power. I reject drifters. I rise with men of purpose. Speak this until your subconscious accepts it. For belief attracts its own. Faith attracts the faithful. Doubt attracts doubters. If you affirm it daily, men of courage will appear. If you drift, the devil will seat complainers at your side. Examine your circle. Write the names of those with whom you spend most hours. Ask, do they lift me or chain me? Do they inspire faith or fear? Do they dream or drift? This list reveals whether you are free or enslaved. If your circle is negative, you are already owned. Sever ties or perish with them. Do not fear separation. The road of mastery is often lonely. Better to walk alone with faith than with a crowd in chains. Soon, by the law of attraction, new allies will appear, men of definiteness, courage, and vision. They will form your mastermind. Together you will rise. But first you must reject negative company. Edison's laboratory was filled with men who believed. They worked tirelessly because his vision infected them. Their faith multiplied his. Contrast this with the average workplace filled with grumblers. Their words are chains. They drain enthusiasm, mock ambition, kill imagination. The devil thrives there, for his whispers echo daily in their complaints. The drifter loves negative company. He fears men of decision, for they expose his weakness. He avoids men of faith, for they challenge his excuses. He prefers companions who excuse his delay, share his fears, and confirm his mediocrity. Thus they all perish together, each reinforcing the other's slavery. The devil smiles, for he owns them as a herd. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Ford, Schwab, each attracted strong allies. Each built fortunes, not alone, but with others who believed. Their strength was multiplied by company. But the 98% who drift surround themselves with complainers. They inherit poverty not by fate, but by choice of companions. Their company was their downfall. Affirm again, I attract allies of courage. I attract men of purpose. I reject complainers. I unite with the definite. Together we rise. Speak it daily. Live it daily. Each time a complainer speaks, excuse yourself. Each time a cynic laughs, walk away. Each time a drifter tempts you to waste time, refuse. Your freedom depends upon your circle. The devil confessed, once I seat a man among drifters, I need not labor further. They will enslave him for me. Do you see the truth? He does not need to whisper if your companions whisper for him. He does not need to chain you if they chain you. Your circle is either your fortress or your prison. Choose wisely. Therefore I command you, list your companions, judge them with honesty, sever ties with those who poison faith, seek allies who believe, form a mastermind of men united in definite aim, meet regularly, share openly, encourage each other. The devil cannot enter a union of faith. He flees from harmony. He owns only discord, complaint, and doubt. The sixth sign that the devil owns you is this: you are surrounded by negative company. If you see it, you must act. To remain among them is to perish with them. To separate is to suffer loneliness for a season, but to gain freedom forever. Choose, for your companions are either chains that bind you or wings that lift you. The devil claims men most securely when he dulls their imagination. For imagination is the workshop of the mind, the bridge between desire and reality, the faculty by which man becomes master instead of servant. Without it, he drifts. Without it, he fears. Without it, he accepts chains as natural. The man who fails to use imagination is already enslaved. Imagination is the eye of the soul. With it, man sees what is not yet, hears what others cannot, and creates before creation exists. Every fortune, every invention, every triumph began in imagination. Edison pictured light before it glowed. Ford pictured cars before they rolled. Carnegie pictured steel before it ruled. Without imagination, each would have perished in mediocrity. The devil whispers, do not dream too boldly. Do not picture what is impossible. Be realistic and men obey. They imagine only debt, illness, and defeat. Their minds replay fears and their lives obey. For imagination does not sleep, it creates whatever dominates it. If filled with fear, it creates chains. If filled with faith, it creates empires. Rockefeller imagined pipelines when others carried oil in wagons. His vision was mocked as folly, too costly, too ambitious. Yet he saw clearly, believed firmly, acted persistently. Imagination guided him to dominate oil. Had he failed to imagine, he would have remained a small refiner among thousands. His fortune was born in mind before it was born in matter. Carnegie imagined vertical integration. Mines, mills, transport, all united under his command. Others saw impossibility. He saw empire. His imagination guided him to organize, to expand, to dominate. His steel-girded cities built bridges, spanned rivers. Without imagination, he would have remained a poor boy in Scotland. With it, he commanded an age. Imagination misused enslaves. The man who pictures poverty attracts it. The man who imagines illness hastens it. The man who rehearses failure in his mind guarantees defeat. The devil delights in such imagination. He whispers fears, and men accept them as visions. They live the images they create, not realizing they were his. Thus, imagination can chain as well as free. Affirm, I see riches in my mind. I live them in thought. I command them in reality. I will not picture poverty. I will not imagine defeat. I will create boldly, and life will obey. Speak these words daily. For repetition with emotion engraves them upon the subconscious, and imagination obeys. You will create what you see. The drifter fails to use imagination. He repeats daily routines, never daring to dream. He speaks only of what is, never of what could be. He imitates the crowd, mocks the dreamer, resents the creator. His imagination is enslaved to habit. He is blind to opportunity, deaf to inspiration. The devil owns him because he has surrendered his greatest gift. Infinite intelligence speaks through imagination. Ideas arrive as flashes, visions, sudden insights. These are not accidents. They are messages. The man who cultivates imagination becomes receiver of inspiration. The man who neglects it hears nothing. The devil dulls him with noise, routine, and fear until his mind no longer listens. He dies never having heard the voice of infinite intelligence. Edison's laboratory was filled with failures, yet imagination sustained him. He saw inventions completed before they were built. Each setback was merely a step toward the vision already alive in his mind. Without imagination, thousands of failures would have defeated him. With it, he triumphed. His vision lit the world because imagination guided persistence. Exercise. Spend 15 minutes daily in silence. Picture your definite aim as though complete. See the details. Feel the emotions. Speak as though it is done. Do not drift. Do not imagine vaguely. Create vividly. The subconscious will absorb the image, and infinite intelligence will supply the means. Imagination practiced daily becomes power irresistible. Affirm again, I create riches first in thought. I see them clearly. I believe them deeply. I act as though they are mine. My imagination is my workshop, and in it I forge my fortune. These words, repeated with passion, replace fear with vision, excuses with creativity, drifting with purpose. The devil flees from the man who uses imagination deliberately. Failure to use imagination is the devil's seventh sign. It is the mark of a mind asleep, a soul enslaved. If you do not picture your own future, he will picture it for you. If you do not command your imagination, he will fill it with fear. If you do not create boldly, you will serve as fuel for those who do. Look at the 98%. They speak only of wages, debts, sickness, and old age. Their imagination is chained to fear. They drift, complain, and perish. Look at the 2%. They speak of visions, plans, inventions, and destinies. Their imagination is free. They rise, create, and command. The difference is not birth, but use of imagination. Therefore, I charge you, awaken your imagination. Guard it against fear. Direct it toward your definite aim. Feed it with affirmations. Exercise it daily in vivid vision. Refuse to let the devil dull it. For imagination is the faculty by which you create freedom, wealth, and mastery. Fail to use it, and you are already owned. Freedom is the prize of the 2%. It is not given by fortune, by society, or by the wealthy. It is seized by the man who reclaims his mind from the devil. 98% of men perish in slavery of thought. They drift, they fear, they excuse, they quit, they conform, they neglect imagination. But the 2% break free. You may be among them if you dare. To begin, you must see clearly the 7 signs. indecision, excuses, drifting, fear, lack of persistence, negative company, and failure to use imagination. These are the devil's marks upon the enslaved. If you see even one upon yourself, you are already his servant. Yet recognition is the first key to liberty. You cannot break chains you do not admit. The devil thrives in secrecy. He whispers, and men believe the words are their own. He chains them with hesitation, and they call it prudence. He feeds them excuses, and they call it reason. He binds them to drifting, and they call it routine. He lashes them with fear, and they call it caution. He owns them, and they call it freedom. But once a man sees the signs, the spell is broken. He knows the hesitation was not his. He knows the excuses were not truth. He knows drifting is not life, fear is not caution, routine is not destiny. He begins to rebel. His rebellion begins not in streets, but in thought. The greatest revolution is mastery of one's own mind. Indecision must be slain first. A man who cannot decide owns nothing, not his thought, not his hours, not his destiny. You must write your definite chief aim and declare it. Speak it morning and night. Refuse to sleep until it is affirmed. Each act of decision closes the door against the devil. Each firm choice strengthens liberty. Decision is sovereignty. Excuses must be burned. Write them on paper. If only I had more money, more time, more schooling, more influence. Burn the page. Say aloud, these lies no longer bind me. Replace each excuse with an act. If you lacked money, act with what you have. If you lack time, act now. Excuses feed the devil. Action starves him. Drifting must be replaced with definiteness. Plan each day deliberately. Ask yourself, does this move me toward my aim, or am I drifting? Each time you drift, correct it at once. Drift is slow death. Purpose is life. The devil owns 98% because they drift. The 2% live deliberately. Choose. Each hour either frees you or enslaves you. Fear must be cast out by faith. Write your fears. Name them. Burn them. Replace them with affirmations. I fear nothing. I believe. I dare. I rise. Speak daily until belief grows. Act boldly in spite of trembling. Each act weakens fear. Faith grows by use. The devil flees from faith, for it is the light that reveals his lies. Lack of persistence must be conquered by habit. Choose your aim. Act daily for 30 days without fail. Small or large, act. Record each act. At month's end, persistence will be habit. Each day continued strengthens rhythm. Each day missed weakens it. The devil whispers, quit. You answer, I persist. He cannot defeat a man who refuses to stop. Negative company must be severed. Write your circle. Judge them. Do they lift or chain you? Sever ties with complainers, doubters, drifters. Better alone with faith than among thousands in fear. Soon, by the law of attraction, new allies will appear. Men of purpose, courage, definiteness. Unite with them. Form a mastermind. Harmony multiplies power. Discord destroys it. Failure to use imagination must be replaced with vivid vision. Spend time daily in silence. Picture your definite aim as complete. See the details, feel the triumph, believe it done. Speak affirmations as though it exists now. Imagination is the workshop of freedom. Without it, you are prisoner to what is. With it, you create what shall be. Affirm daily, my mind is mine. I decide, I act, I persist, I believe, I imagine, I surround myself with faith. I am free, speak it morning and night. Repetition engraves it upon the subconscious. The subconscious directs action. Infinite intelligence responds. In time, your outer world will mirror the inner declaration. Liberty begins within. The devil cannot own the man who commands these 7. He trembles before definiteness. He flees from faith. He starves when excuses die. He loses power when imagination creates boldly. He cannot chain the persistent. He cannot enter the circle of a mastermind in harmony. Such a man is dangerous. He is useless as fuel, for he burns by his own fire. Look to Lincoln. He mastered indecision with firmness of purpose. He mastered excuses by rising from poverty to greatness. He mastered drifting by living deliberately. He mastered fear by faith in justice. He persisted through defeat after defeat. He surrounded himself with strong allies. He imagined a union preserved and slavery destroyed, and it was so. Look to Edison. He decided firmly to create light. He excused nothing in failure. He never drifted, for his life was one long experiment. He feared nothing, not even ridicule. He persisted through thousands of defeats. He surrounded himself with believers in his laboratory. His imagination created devices unseen before. He mastered all seven, and the world remembers him. Look to Ford. He decided to build cars for the multitude. He excused not his ignorance. He did not drift. He worked daily. He mastered fear of ridicule by faith in his vision. He persisted through lawsuits and fire. He surrounded himself with engineers and allies. His imagination created the assembly line. He mastered the seven signs, and the devil could not own him. Look to Carnegie. He decided upon steel. He excused not his poverty. He drifted not, but advanced steadily. He mastered fear by faith in opportunity. He persisted despite betrayal and scorn. He surrounded himself with men of brilliance. He imagined vertical integration of industry. He mastered the seven signs, and fortune followed. If they could rise, so can you. They were not born free of fear, excuse, or drift. They mastered them. The same law governs you. The same path is open. The only question, will you choose it? Or will you remain among the 98%, enslaved, excusing, drifting, fearing, quitting, poisoned by companions, blind in imagination? Do not wait for another day. Begin now. Write your definite chief aim. Burn your excuses. Plan your day deliberately. Write your fears and replace them with affirmations. Act daily toward your aim. Sever ties with drifters. Spend time in vision. Repeat affirmations until belief becomes nature. Do this and freedom is yours. Affirm once more, my mind is mine. I decide, I act, I persist, I believe, I imagine. I surround myself with faith. I am free. These words are not mere sounds. They are commands to the subconscious, decrees to infinite intelligence, laws to your destiny. Speak them daily. Live them hourly. Prove them with action. Freedom will answer. The devil owns 98% of minds. They perish in excuses, drifting fear, lack of persistence, negative company, and blind imagination. But the 2% live differently. They decide, they act, they persist, they believe, they imagine, they surround themselves with faith, they live deliberately, they command their destiny, they are free. Therefore I charge you, be among the 2%. Refuse indecision. Refuse excuses. Refuse drifting. Refuse fear. Refuse surrender. Refuse negative company. Refuse blind imagination. Command your mind. Declare your aim. Act with faith. Persist until victory. Unite with the faithful. Imagine boldly. Live deliberately. In this way you will break chains forever. Say it once more. The devil owns 98% of minds. I will be among the 2% who are free. Speak it daily until your soul believes. Act upon it until your life proves it. For freedom is not gift, it is conquest. The devil may own 98%, but he cannot own you if you refuse him. Choose now.